Hi guys, Kate 420 back again. Um, this is an important video. It's not so much to do. They say one situation doesn't mean the sky's falling in, the world's falling down, whatever. This is a big situation, and it's being overlooked. It's being overlooked. Why? Because what he did was considered jerkish, in poor taste. What he did, in this time, in this place, in our country, he's going to pay the ultimate price for it. And to me, that's not fair. And ultimately, out of that, excuse me, we're going to end up losing some very, very serious gun rights. And by we, I mean the people out there who are fighting to exercise our rights, who in this very case may have done it in a way that most would see how it's inappropriate, but no one could see how it was going to be a terrorism charge. Let's move on. Find out what I'm about to tell you. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about it, but let's get to the bottom of all this. If you haven't heard, today being Sunday, August 11th, 10 Walmarts have actually had threats called in against them this week, but that's a whole nother video. This is a National Review. Off-duty firefighter stops man with a rifle in Missouri Walmart. Ooh, sounds like a good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun. Oh, story over. Let's go. Oh, no, wait. Let's just keep going. Because I believe that. I believe that you should have trained armed security. You should train yourself. You should, if you want to protect your family, it's your responsibility to protect your family, and that is why it is your God-given right. Anyway, on. A man carrying a rifle wearing body armor was detained Thursday after causing a panic in a Missouri Walmart, according to local police and media. The white male, that's a whole nother story. We'll get to that later. Who appeared to be in his 20s walked into the Walmart neighborhood market in Springfield, Missouri. Sorry, I needed a drink. Wearing body armor and military fatigues. Something in my throat. Jeez. And carrying tactical weapons as well as more than 100 rounds of ammunition. The Springfield Police Department said, which responded within 3 minutes of being called. The man was filming himself walking around the store pushing a cart when the store manager pulled a fire alarm to warn customers to escape. Remember that part, guys. The store manager pulled a fire alarm to warn customers to escape, causing a panic. Why? Because he saw a man in tactical gear, wearing body armor and military fatigues, carrying a tactical weapon with more than 100 rounds of ammunition, pushing a cart, filming himself. Well, that doesn't seem like he's aiming at anybody. That doesn't seem like he's coming in like the one kid did with the earmuffs on, pointed up, ready to shoot, right? That I would think that at least in his case would result in questions being asked. Don't you? I mean, I would hope that I would be at least someone, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know what just happened in El Paso Walmart? Don't you have any damn respect? I'm going to, whatever. But instead to pull the fire alarm after multiple days full of motorcycles backfiring and the USA Today building being emptied and numerous other false alarms. Anyway, the man exited through an emergency exit. An off-duty firefighter then held the heavily armed man at gunpoint. Good thing that man that was an off-duty firefighter had a gun on him to protect himself and all those people at that store. until the police arrived. His intent was not to cause peace or comfort to anyone that was in that business. In fact, he's lucky to be alive still, to be honest. Nobody was harmed, just a really scary, dangerous situation. Thankfully got resolved. Everyone's going home tonight. Oh, no, they're not. Okay, it says, it doesn't have his name in this one. His name's, like, I wanted to give you his name so you could actually go look it up, but I don't want to go, it doesn't matter. The point is this very important point right here. Come on. This very important, I can't say it, important point. Say that 3 times fast. The very important point is this was a Missouri Walmart. And in Missouri, these are the gun laws. Missouri's kind of special. I don't want to say special because every state has its own special. Missouri became a constitutional carry state in January of 2017, meaning that they go straight by the Constitution. You were constitutionally allowed to bear arms. Therefore, no permit is required to openly or conceal carry a firearm. But the state still issues permits on a shall issue basis for reciprocity with other states. Meaning if you leave that state, if you leave Missouri with your gun and you want to go to New York to let them know that this gun is from Missouri and it's legal and whatnot, they will do that. There is no requirement to register firearms or obtain a purchase permit. In some specially trained school employees are allowed to carry firearms on school grounds. Permits are issued at the local level by county sheriffs to residents only who must be at least 19 years old. Okay? Not necessary. Don't need a permit. Completely legal to carry openly or conceal carry. The boy that I just showed you, who's back here in the front of this, has been charged with terrorism. Here he is in his mugshot. This is him as they were pulling him over. This is his gear, as they called it. His gun is hanging across his chest with his body armor. His story is that I was exercising my Second Amendment right. I wanted to see during all of this blown up mess, if in my state of Missouri, if I could still walk into Walmart with a gun that's legally mine, that I'm legally allowed to own and carry, and not have someone overreact to me. And they did. This is a big deal. This man's now being charged with terrorism for not even breaking a law. Not only not even breaking the law, but following the law to the T. So what about the rest of us? So what about the states that have all kinds of laws on the books? If they're overreacting in a state with gun laws that are this loose and this liberty-oriented, what's going to happen in a place like, I don't know, New York? I'm going to show you what's going to happen. What is a PSYOP? Think about that for a second while my lovely thing loads. It's not, and then it does not mean a term of conspiracy theory either, because PSYOP this is the Army training manual, just so everyone is aware. I'll show it to you. I'll go all the way back to the top just to show you. Hold on. Okay, this is the Army Training Manual, not some Alex Jones InfoWars BS. This is the Army Training Manual, I'm going to say for the last time. Okay, now back to where I was. Did I go too far? Yes, I did. 1614, right there. Yeah, you butthead. Hold on. One more. Sorry, guys. I should have just. There we go. Excuse me. The mission of a PSYOP. The mission of a PSYOP is to influence the behavior of foreign target audiences, TAs, to support U.S. national objectives. PSYOPs accomplish this by conveying selective information or advising on actions that influence the emotions, motives, and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of foreign audiences. Now, this might be the case of the Army, who is going to be doing a FOROP in a foreign country, doing a PSYOP in a foreign country. But when your own government, the clowns in America, are doing PSYOPs on you, this is very Googleable. Look up Operation Mockingbird if you're not really familiar with a lot of CIA operations. That one's very well known. And you understand how our media was used to pass on narratives that our deep state, CIA, wanted to be passed on. So, with that, back to PSYOP. All right, behavioral change is at the root of the PSYOP mission. Again, very important. The root of the PSYOP mission is to what? Get you to change your behavior. Maybe get something that's a principle, a moral, a very important part, a value of your life that you would never think you'd be willing to give on. But manipulate your emotions in so many different ways over and over and over again until finally they've worn you down and you finally cave on what was, at one point a non-negotiable, value or principle. It says, although concerned with the mental processes of the target audience, it is the observable modification of behavior that determines the success. Meaning, once you see them act different, then it means you succeeded. It's the link between the influence and the behavior that distinguishes a PSYOP from other capabilities and activities out of information operations and sets it apart as a unique core capability. All right, what do I mean, PSYOP? Well, let's take a look. The last 2 weeks between the Gilroy Garlic Festival, between El Paso and Dayton, I could spend 6 days listing out lies that were told over and over and over on just channels like CNN and MSNBC. But then I started to see in between all that and see what the mission was, what the whole objective was. And the objective was to change my behavior, to change my ultimate moral principle, value, whatever it was that I was so sticking to. Watch. Good old Brooke Baldwin. She's always good for a fake tear, too. Okay, man. There we go. All right, I'm going to say right about oops. Sorry. Come on. Load her up. There. Uh-oh. You're going to make me do it again. What the heck? Sorry, guys. I don't know what just happened. It was kind of creepy. Here we go.
This has been a horrible week for America. I never thought in my 20 years in journalism that I would get a call last Sunday morning from my boss asking me to go cover a mass shooting. And
okay, just hold on. I'm not going to listen to the whole thing.
People were murdered. And there I was.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. I wanted to give you some context. She's going to go in about how she was at when her boss called, told her that, go shoot the mass murder or the mass shooting. And for the first time in her life, there was two, and she wipes away a couple fake tears. And she goes, she just really starts to do the emotional thing. But I want to get to the point that's important. So right about
calls for them to return. Mitch McConnell says it can wait until September. But here's what's happening while they're away. People of color, Latinos, afraid to leave their house.
We've seen a lot of fear in the community because of that, and because it's real now. It's not like we can connect those dots, and people know that they're in danger just because of the color of the skin.
We're being attacked, and our government needs to step in.
They will have to wait until September. While lawmakers are on vacation, I expect we will keep seeing scenes like this. Tuesday night, here in New York City, in Times Square, a motorcycle backfired, but that's not what people first thought.
It was a very crazy moment. I thought somebody was shooting. If I didn't see the motorcycle, it would have definitely sounded like gunfire.
That very same day, at a mall in Utah, a large sign fell, but that's not what it sounded like.
We didn't know what was going on until somebody went in to tell us that we need to leave the place. So we just basically ran.
It is evidence of a national anxiety. And what about the children and teenagers who are returning to school next week?
What about the children?
Well, my message to young children going back to school is go and really study hard. And someday you'll grow up and maybe be president of the United States or do something else that's fantastic. They have nothing to fear. They have nothing to worry about.
I want to leave you with the words from a school-age child. Mrs. Skylin, she lost her mother in El Paso, and then she asked her grandmother, "Is my dad dead?" Yes, she had to be told her stepfather, the man she called dad, was also dead. And she responded with tears in her eyes, and then asked this question about the killer. Is he going to come and shoot me? Skylin is 5 years old.
All right.
This has been a...
So, you understand, with all the other coverage you've seen this week, throwing things like that, and at the same time, it's good old election season, so you can never, always count on the Democrats for absolutely terrifying policy. Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren has a new plan to reduce gun violence by 80%. Lots of licensing. Now, if you understand, I'm going to show you one thing when it comes to licensing, if I have time, if this video doesn't go on too long, but an assault weapons ban she wants, universal background checks, and just requiring a license system to buy and own guns, as well as urban gun violence intervention programs, which there's some things that I think that is feasible for areas that need it, and needable. Yeah, well, you know what I meant. But part of that is absolutely why. Okay, the criminals don't go and buy their guns legally and pay for permits and get a license, and the reason they go buy a gun from a guy on the street is because they can't legally get a weapon. They've already become a felon, or for whatever reason cannot legally own a gun. So the more laws you put, the only people who are suffering are the citizens who are law abiding, who are never or going to be, or have never been a risk for committing a mass shooting. Why do I say be careful? Because our Democratic Party has shifted so far to the left right now that they're calling themselves Democratic Socialists and all these socialist policies. Well, let's look at our nearest socialist neighbor, Venezuela, who just a few years ago, whose government declared a gun ban, and basically made all of their citizens turn in their weapons, and only allowed army and law enforcement and whatnot to have weapons. And what happened a few years later? They declared a war against the unarmed population, killing thousands, hundreds of thousands, I'm pretty sure. But it's a 6-year-old gun bill, stripped all citizens of their weapons. Okay, that was 2012, guys. It took effect 2013. It's 2019. Do you understand that he spent $47 million making sure that that gun ban was enforced in Venezuela? And now you can only people that can have a gun. If you're caught with a gun, you get 20 years behind bars unless you're military or a police. Oh, let's check out what Mr. Cuomo wants. Andrew Cuomo says, what? That there's already 100,000 people here in New York on a mental health list, can't buy guns. Yep, it's called the red flag laws. And I'm going to show you what states have them, what states don't, and what states are in the process. But he is going all out, guys. Right now, there was a stabbing in Queens, New York the other day at a salon. A lady's ex came in and stabbed her to death in front of her co-workers. Everyone stood there frozen. No one did anything, probably because there was no gun and no one was trained. But needless to say, the woman died. But when asked, a lady had said, do you have any idea how hard it is to own a gun in Queens? And I didn't realize the state of New York has ridiculously left-leaning Democratic California type gun policies. But you add to that an extra layer in New York City, and add to that another even thicker layer in Queens, which obviously had some crime at some point. And so you have to have money. And so this is like a economically unfair system. People who economically cannot afford your constant permit, license, tax fee, ownership fee, 150 different ways to make money off the people. By then, the only people who can afford to own a weapon legally are people who make $500,000 a year. And that's another way of unjustly leaving people unable to protect themselves and their family. He's also calling for all presidential candidates to go and call for those policies, those certain policies. I was going to get into that. I don't think I'm going to right now. I'm going to do that in a separate video. But these are the red flag laws, guys. It's mental health laws. They're only getting more in depth more. They go by the DSM. There's a new DSM out. Things like oppositional defiance disorder. If you are diagnosed with that, are you telling me because I'm defiant, my child, or because as a child I was defiant, as an adult I will no longer be able to own a weapon legally? These are the things that you guys need to know before you just go, oh yeah, they're looking out for the children. They care so much about the children. I'm going to give away my gun, my only right to protect myself and my family because I care about the children, just apparently not my own. Right? Is that because if you're giving away any one little inch of your right to protect your family and yourself, then one little thing, and then that's the keyhole or the door that they will kick open to steal the rest of your rights. And then you will be unable to defend yourself or your children or your neighbors or be the good guy with a gun that stops a bad guy with a gun in a mass shooting situation. I'm not a big gun pusher, guys, but what I am is a rights pusher, and I believe in my rights. And more in the last 5 years, I have seen how the past administrations have thrown a veil over this whole gun policy thing and really tried to spin it as something else. And now watching the overreaction of the left, blaming President Trump for shootings. I mean, my God, anyway, all I'm saying is that it's a very divisive world right now, and it's a very divisive country, and it's a divisive time. And I sleep better at night knowing the only person I have to pick up the phone and call if I wake up and hear an intruder is no one, because we can defend ourselves legally with no worries of what happens if there is an intruder and I do shoot them. And you should all have that peace of mind. But who am I? Inform yourself. And please, guys, if you like my channel or you like this video and you got something out of it, share it with your friends. I'm trying to come back and do a lot of new content about things that I didn't do before. I did a lot of crime before. I kind of like politics. Everybody's doing politics, so I kind of want to keep it a mix of everything. You know what I mean? Just keep it fresh. I'll surprise you.